Hey,
Mr. Joe Downey.
how are you, Mr. Sellers?
Absolutely fantastic. How are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm fired up, man. I'm excited to be home with you finally.
Mm-hmm.
I know our schedules have gotten a little crisscrossed, but the time has come.
The time is today. We are overdue, but not anymore, Joe.
You know what? I just realized I made a nice new fresh cup of coffee and left it in the kitchen. Oh well.
Well, how long is that going to take you to go get it? People are joining, right?
Yeah, let them join. You can talk.
Give them a couple minutes. Well, hey,
Sure.
Joe,
Sure.
what is the best part of your day so far today?
I woke up.
Yeah? You woke up well?
Yeah. Feel good.
Yeah.
Do me a favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody will be joining. Give me a second. I can grab it and be back.
Go get your coffee, brother.
All right.
While Joe's getting his coffee, I'll tell you guys about the best part of my day so far today, which, by the way, is a fantastic question to ask people. And that's how you ask it, as opposed to just saying, how's it going, or that, where you get your cookie cutter answers. What is the best part of your day so far today? And what you'll find is probably about 60% of people just give you that surfacey answer. And about 40% of them really pause and think. And they're like, you know what? I got to talk to my niece today, or just something cool like that. But the best part of my day so far today would be parent-teacher conferences. I did a quick little post yesterday, and I said that I was dropping my son off for tutoring. Well, my son, Camden, he has dyslexia, and we were able to get him the type of tutoring that he needs, which was so awesome that we were able to identify it early. And today we had parent-teacher conferences at his school, and he's not only doing well, he's thriving. So that was the best part of my day, is that my boy's getting the attention that he needs. And it was a good part of the day. Joe, you're back.
I am, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew you could fill the room.
I mean, I could have just stood there and looked at him funny.
That'd have been.
So how do you want to kick this off, Joe? So, what are we going to give him today?
A lot of people probably do know you, but there's a lot that don't. So I always like to give everybody a chance to tell us who Kyle Sellers is.
Okay. Well, let's do this. What we're not going to do today, Joe, is we're not going to make it all about me. You and I are going to give the industry something today. So yeah. I don't know exactly what that is, but to do that, do you know Sean Hilgart? We know Sean, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you see his post?
No. What?
Yeah. Well, he asked if we're doing arm circles. So the answer is we are now, Joe. So get up.
Nice.
And this is actually great for all of you in-home sales professionals. This is a quick little snippet from the Egoscue method. But, we sit down all day, we're driving, or if you're a person that flies all over, this is a great way to just stretch it out quick. It actually does a lot for your central nervous system, for your learning. But it goes something like this. So first of all, you want to tuck your fingers in like that and point your thumbs. And then you want to stand with your feet about shoulder width apart, ever so slightly pigeon-toed in.
Yep.
And now, with the fingers like that, we'll put our arms out, and the direction of our thumbs, Joe, we're going to point our thumbs forward, and let's just do like 20-ish, 20 circles about like that. Just do it so it feels good.
Love it. I got to turn sideways. I saw this with old TR.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can feel the back crunching a little bit. All right, let's bring those thumbs back. Oh. And go backwards. This is for you, Sean. Love you, brother.
Man, they weren't lying when they say the camera adds 20. Woo!
You look great, man. All right, and then right up to the temples. Oh.
This is my favorite.
Oh, man.
This is the real deal.
Joe, this is where you're working out those old baseball injuries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Every time I do it, I think about a home run that's still flying that I gave up.
All right. That'll be good now.
Yeah, man.
Feeling better?
I am actually. I changed out. I got rid of the chair, went to the stool today, get some core.
Perfect.
Just feeling good. So if you're joining us live, Kyle's getting ready to tell you all about who he is, aside from the Egoscue method. And do me a favor, though. You have to punch the like key, punch the love key. If you're joining us, leave a comment. I can't tell who half the comments are from because StreamYard doesn't tell us, but somebody says Kyle Sellers is the man and another person's laughing at us.
Yeah. Good. Let them laugh.
There we go.
All right. Who am I? This could be a long story, but I'll try to condense it down just a little bit. So 40, Kyle Sellers, I'm 41 years old. My wife and I live here in Appleton, Wisconsin. We have 3 little kiddos. Our son is 11. Our 2 little girls are 8 and 6. But let me go back to a bit to my childhood. I grew up in the northwest corner of Iowa. I did a little bit of college on the other side of the country, the University of Montana in Missoula. And I was in school for political science pre-law, which I enjoy government. I thought that I wanted to be an attorney mostly for the money. I'm sure there are elements, Joe, of being an attorney that I would have liked a lot. But when I think of that now, man, did I dodge a bullet? Because I can't imagine sitting there like going through documents and papers and like ripping them apart. Like that's just not me. That's not who God created me to be. But I was home for a summer and a friend of mine was moving to Wisconsin. I had no intention to even move here. And he said, hey, can you come up, help me move in? You can hang out for the week and then we'll come back next weekend. So I was like, sure, let's do it. So I came up to Wisconsin and he went to work. So his brother was an architect for Portside Properties. His landlord, he had this little tiny trailer in a town of like 20 people across the street from a bar, which was a great spot, for a kid in their 20s to be. And his landlord came by on that Monday to drop off some paperwork. And he offered me a summer job. Like, hey, I own a small construction company, a design build company. They did Wisconsin Log Home. Do you want a summer job? I'm like, yeah, I guess I got a place to stay. I can live with my buddy here. Let's do it. So I started building homes and I did that for about 10 years. I was a framer. We did finish carpentry. We pretty much did everything. And I worked for one of the premier builders in Green Bay. So I kept going south, from Southern Door County down to Green Bay. Now I'm in Appleton. I'm on my way to Florida. I'm just not there yet. I just got to keep going south. But so I did that for about 10 years. I had my own LLC for a little period of time. It really wasn't a business. I guess I ran it like a checkbook. But I was also getting into like sales management. So managing an Anytime Fitness, so bring us to 2012. I was a health club director with Anytime Fitness. And I see this ad for a sunroom designer. And I was like, oh, that's a great way to, for me to like bridge what I know about construction, but I don't really want to be pounding nails anymore. What I think I know about sales. And I go and I interview with Brian Gottlieb with this little company called Sunroom Design Group, this little tiny office on Bohm Drive. Joe, the way that I describe it is like this. I walk in, I'm wearing a suit and tie. This is back in 2012, thinking that if I'm going to ask somebody for money, that I'm going to be wearing a suit and tie, right? Joe, I walk in and this place is different. It smells like cigarettes and opportunity. That's the way that I describe it. And I'm interviewing with Brian and he's showing me these sunrooms, like, how much do you think this costs? He goes, Kyle, do you make commission on your gym memberships? I'm like, yeah, and I can tell you that was a very rewarding job in every way, but financially. I was probably making like 30 grand a year, and I knew that it was time for a big boy job. Brittany was pregnant with Camden. So he goes, if you sell a really good gym membership, like a really good one, how much commission you make? I'm like, a really good one. Wow. Like 2 people, a husband, wife, a 24-month, like tanning, the whole thing, probably like 160, 180 bucks. Brian's like, yeah. If you sell one of these, I'll pay you like $6 grand, for a glass roof conservatory. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in, right? So anyway, I see this vision that this guy, like, I just knew that there was something different. So I get home and Brittany's like, how'd the interview go? I'm like, oh my gosh, it went fantastic. How much does it pay? That's the great thing, right? It's full commission. Oh my gosh, we're going to be rich. What are the benefits? There are none. She's like, oh my God, like I have some questions. I'm like, well, great, because we're going out for dinner with Brian and Kathy. And that's where the journey started. So I got started with Sunroom Design Group back in 2012. At the time, there was 7.5 of us doing a couple $1 million per year. As many of you guys know, we built that organization out to one of the larger home improvement companies in the country. And it wasn't too long into it where that I was able to step out of the home. I carried the bag in the home. I absolutely loved it. But I was able to pioneer our Tunderland University program, take over sales and leadership training, do some management development. So I did that for about a decade. And in June of last year, I ended up going completely out on my own. I do my own speaking, coaching, training, and consulting. And my responsibilities to this industry are to help people be more effective. Let's get rid of the pressure. Let's get rid of the tactics. Let's make it all about the customer, but yet not at the cost of winning, and still win. So that's my brief.
I love it.
How'd I do?
The what you said 7.5. Was that because there was a dog?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. One of them was a permitter. Like, she works part-time for permitting. And the way that I remember it was her hours were cutting in with her unemployment. So I think Brian I think we just relieved her of that burden.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Where do we want to kick off? What's got you excited these days? I mean, you're always excited. I don't think I've met it. I thought I had a lot of energy. You take it to another level. What's got you? You got your hands in so many things. What's tickling the pickle, if I'm allowed to say that?
Yeah, boy,
I think I can say anything.
Yeah.
I think I can.
Well, oh, by the way, this is my first time ever doing anything like this. I have never done a podcast before. I have never gone live. And I guess now we get to look back on this, like years and be like, that was his first time doing it. This was Kyle and Joe just doing it. But what's tickling my pickle these days? Joe, I think it's really just been digging into what is my brand, where is my role in this industry? I mean, as you know, we love this industry. I mean, like this is just part of us now. And it's, what really has me going right now is I feel like that I'm just really dialed in on how I make a difference in this industry. And it goes back to what I was saying, is what I'm finding is I have never been a pressure person. I've never been a tactics person. But even as I'm going through, like our old sales models, like my old sales models, even without the intent of that, I'm still finding all these things that are just ingrained in there where there's things that like I just have to like unlearn. So what's tickling my pickle is this mission of changing this home improvement industry by getting rid of pressure, getting rid of tactics, making it all about the customer, giving them a great experience, driving up their desire to want to do business with us. And it's trying to solve that puzzle, man.
Yeah. There's
because that's not an easy puzzle to solve, right?
It's not, because here's the thing. I've come to this realization, because it works good enough for, say, company owners, right, to meet budget, or to meet, goals for the company, it's considered good. But if you do the math on how many people we throw into the funnel and how many actually come out the other end, it's like, there's got to be there's a better way. And the other side of it is, you always hear, and somebody told me a long time ago, the words you say give you away. And when I hear reps are talking about, it was a knockdown, drag out, it was a brat, I'm like, it doesn't need to be like that.
Yeah.
I just don't think it does. I think you can still first sit close. I think that's critical. Like, there's no reason not to in today's day and age where people are time poor. But man, just the weak sales reps, the hacks that are just like in there, man. There's just
Give me one example, Joe. Give me one example that that you've run into. I mean, you lead amazing teams, a bunch of people. Yeah.
And I mean, it's hard because you got a lot of people, and it's hard to kind of, for lack of a better word, control the what's getting done every day in the home. But I mean, just the typical examples of trying to stall versus an actual objection or true uncertainty.
Yeah.
With a price drop. And it just, we were talking about this the other day. If you don't mind, we'll riff on it now. When you understand that an objection, this is my belief, but I think anybody will agree. An objection, a true objection, a stall, whatever, it just means that there's something they're uncertain about. Now, most people will say, yeah, I agree. And most people will then say, usually it's something around maybe price and terms. I won't disagree with that. However, if they're uncertain about your price or your terms or whatever, and the first thing you do is drop that price, all you're going to do is add to their uncertainty.
Yeah.
Versus standing your ground. And then second part of that is, even if we know 99.9% of the time that the reason for the stall or the objection is to price, I can't solve that until they tell me that's what it is. And I see guys all the time, they're like, they get one reflex, stall of, hey, you just got to think about it. And you're like, oh, drop a price.
I know how to do this, right?
You need to think about it.
Yeah.
And now you're just going, oh crap. Well, now I really need to think about it because hell, you're not even certain on your price. What's real?
Yeah.
So that's, again, it's worked enough. So I don't think it's a bold challenge. Me and you've talked about this before to say, hey, can you sell a different way? Because here's the thing. I think the benefit of doing it is just going to be something different. How many times do you think customers, I secret shop a lot I put Marnie through it all the time. They're just saying the same thing. The same thing. Good. Yeah. Kudos to like Dave Yoho. Because he owned it. They're saying the same thing. And it's like, man, if you actually just do something different, just to do a pattern interrupt, they'll be thrown off. They'll be like, holy crap, this guy or this gal's different.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it is what you hit the nail on the head. A lot of people talk about customer experience. I take it a step further, what you and I've talked about, the buying experience, right? And when you see how many people are buying cars and paying more to buy cars to not through a CarMax or through a Carvana, that averages $3,000 more per car than any other dealer in the country just to avoid the dealership.
Yeah.
Like, we're not far behind that.
Yeah.
It's not a great experience.
There will always be a place in this industry for the in-home sales rep. There truly will. There's the design side of it. There's the problem solving side of it. But you are right. From the customer experience side of it, there's some mixed results out there. There's some mixed, there's some people that are doing it really well. There's some companies that are doing it really well. And there's other, and there's some companies that want to do it well, but yet they're just not,
Yeah.
and it's not that it's their desire to do that, but probably still bringing them through some old processes.
You know what I also think the difference is when I talk to like people like you versus others, and I mean this, and this is kind of like, I heard this the other day and it's so true. And I think I posted it in the group. It's, are you in sales or into sales? I think the passion lacks for the profession, where it gets perceived as a hustle, make a lot of money, again, first sit, close, don't have to, you don't prospect, which is awesome. But then you also aren't responsible for any of the follow-up in most companies, right? Typically. Sure. So it doesn't lead to like a B2B sales role. It's, because you prospect and because you build a referral, if you're smart, you build your business off referrals. Because we don't do that and we hand leads, I think we're kind of responsible for the monster we have created in some cases. And I was talking to our mutual friend, good friend, Chris.
Oh yeah.
And oh my God, he was ready to blow a gasket. He's like, I'm done hiring. And I hope he doesn't mind me saying this. I'm done hiring people within the industry. I go, what's wrong? He goes, man, it's worse than I've ever seen. And I go, yeah, I don't know.
Well, but I get it, because even those that are in the industry that maybe that it's not their intention, that they don't want to give this type of experience. Like I said, there is so much that we may just need to unlearn. You said something earlier, and I don't remember what exactly triggered it. I guess I could go back and watch the video someday. But it brought me back to my days of selling sunrooms. And if you take a look at my disc, my I is higher than my D. My D, I guess, is there enough to be effective. But I was so much more of that, If you take a look at the success of myself back when I was in the home, you actually had Brian Schultz on here, and I I love Brian. I like comparing myself to Brian just a little bit. Brian, you know, if I'm going to use the term closer, Brian is a freaking closer, man. And I mean, not in like a pressure way. Like he is just good at it. He's a problem solver. He will sit there and he will just like, in fact, now I have to tell this one story. I was training this new class of reps and they were coming through, and one of them had been in the field for maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. I mean, something like that. And he posed the question to Brian, when should I stop pushing? Like, when should I stop going for the close? And I'm on the other side of the room, and like I kick back because I'm like, this is going to be good. Like, I have no idea what he's going to say, but I can't wait to hear it. And Brian thought about it for just a little bit, and he goes, as long as you're continuing to fight for them, continue to fight. The moment you make it about yourself, you might as well pick up your crap and leave. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I love that mentality, right? Yeah. If you're going to fight for them, if we're going to problem solve for them, sit there and problem solve for them. Now, we definitely want to, you know, like have it in a well enough structured way that it's given them that great experience too. But it's so much about that intent. So then if we go back to a young Kyle Sellers, when he was carrying the bag, I was not a pressure guy. Where Brian was, he gave the customer a great experience. But I mean, he was a closer, right? I wasn't a closer. My sales, they tended to be just an overwhelming victory from giving, you know, just from giving the customer this great experience. I was really bad at presenting financing, probably because Enterbank was like terrible with, you know, you'd put them on the phone and they'd like blow your deal for you. So I guess that it wasn't so much, you know, that I was afraid of pitching the monthly payment. I just didn't really like to do it because it was such a bad experience for all of us. So, but I was really good at building up the enthusiasm and building the dream and designing this beautiful sunroom. And if they didn't love the cost, we could do some value engineering for them, you know, giving them a great glass demo, stepping outside my comfort zone, my familiar zone. But then when it came time to roll numbers, I was not very confident in my price presentation. So I was one of those reps where everything got weird, right? And yeah, so I would deliver my numbers and I would give them their discount, you know, this is the 30-day price, you know, that this is a number that is good for the next 30 days. And then, you know, I would get my objections. And because I wasn't skilled at overcoming objections, and I didn't understand at that time either that which can go back to what you talked about earlier. Oftentimes the objections, like it is very, very healthy when a customer, like objections can be healthy. A big decision that we want to do, we should be wrestling with that decision. And as a sales rep, as an in-home sales professional, we are there to help them problem solve. We are there to help them wrestle with that decision. But that customer wrestling with that decision, that's healthy. And I didn't understand that, and I didn't know how to do that. And I didn't want to pressure my customers because, you know, being that I care what people think about me. And it was always, you know, that like here, I think they love me and I don't want to pressure them because I don't want them. Yeah, I just didn't want to pressure them. So because I didn't want to pressure them, I would drop the number and just give them my today price. And they would perceive that as pressure because that's what pressure is. Pressure is a perception. Yes, there's pressure tactics, but pressure is asking a customer to do something, to make a decision now when we haven't got them fully ready to make that decision yet. So the exact thing that I didn't want to do was the exact thing that I was doing. And I just wish I could go back and, but I'm not able to. But I can help other people do it now, you know, that I can help other people not make that same mistake or give the customer that same experience.
That's yeah, man, that's spot on. It's and I love that you are comfortable with your awareness around, you know, what how other people perceived you as being the holdback. I mean, there's a lot of people you ask that question to today that are struggling in the home and they're like, no, I don't care. I'm like, yeah, deep down you do. Something is preventing you. You're worried about how they, and then, you know, what they are perceiving of the situation. And like you just said, it's a perception.
Yeah. And oftentimes people with my personality type, with my behavior profile, they can be weak closers and they can be weak sales reps. But the reality of it is, you know, from my experience, they can be some of your absolute best sales reps. We just need to work with them on their style. We need to help them understand like how we do this. I mean, truly, like some of the absolute top reps in the country wouldn't fit Dave Yoho's, that it would say, oh, like that's a coach counselor, that they, which, playing the law of averages, that would be incredibly correct. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they can't be successful, because, oh my gosh, they can be successful, super successful.
You just opened up a can of worms, and
here we go.
This is what I'm so excited you said this, because it's true, right? If you're sitting in front of a guy or gal interviewing them, and you have and you're using DISC, let's say, and you have that profile in front of you, and it's not what you're looking for in terms of D&I, that is, people don't understand, and I'm going to catch a lot of crap for this. That profile is written, or that profile that we talk about wanting, is because it was determined by the same person who wrote the methodology. That doesn't mean that rep can't be effective in the home. He or she is just not going to be able to use, their personality is not going to align with the way you ultimately teach to sell.
Oh my gosh. I've never heard you say that before.
Now, it's by the way, this is truth, and because I got really weird about this. So then you say, okay,
you're right.
It is.
Yeah.
There's
that methodology. That's oh my gosh, that is a very, very difficult behavioral profile, a difficult personality to run that methodology with that, oh my gosh, Joe.
So then you say, okay, well, what do you have to make a choice, right? Am I willing to either trust that this person in front of me has their own way of selling in the home that's still at least ethical, right? And am I okay with it? Which most companies aren't going to be, because we want to have alignment, and we want to have process, and we want to have structure, and that would throw everything off. You can't send another rep with him because he's not going to be on process, right? So then you say, okay, and then the other side of it is, do I have the time, which most won't, to teach them a different path to sell that aligns with their personality? And I learned that from my good friend who's in the group, Michael Oliver, the one who I told you with Network. He's the original. And he said in the book, he talks about, and I've talked to him in person about this, he goes, there's only 17% of the human race that fits the profile that ideally you want on this methodology, D&I.
Yeah. Yeah.
So does that mean that everybody else isn't capable or able? No.
Yes.
This means they're not going to be able to use that model that you have. So then you have to make a decision. Because I there's good reps in this group that I personally know that have no connection to anything high D, high I in that world, that are absolute monsters in the home. They're not on model,
right?
But they can do it, and they do it at a high level, and they always question themselves. And I think you can you gotta use the data there, but you got to understand, it's not that they can't sell. It's just they're not going to be able to use the model that was written by the person who's saying high DII.
Yeah. So we've talked about this just a little bit, and I guess I'll give you my take on it, and I have definitely shared this with other people, with other organizations. You asked me earlier, what has me going, and I mean, I said, that it is trying to solve this puzzle of how do we change the industry, right? And which was why that I was so intrigued by that, that those profiles, they just need a different methodology, or yes, maybe a different methodology, but it doesn't necessarily have to be completely different. And here is, in my opinion, why. So as I'm, just really trying to understand what happens in the home, what's going on, if right down the middle is strategy, and I think I answered a question based on something like this. I did my best to articulate it out with words, but now I guess I'll just talk about it. If right down the center we have strategy, every business or every person, but every company should have some type of strategy in the home. Hope is not a strategy. That's not going to serve us very well. Some type of strategy, right? And based on that strategy, there's a selling system, there's a methodology, and we teach them that selling system. What we oftentimes don't spend a lot of time with is the understanding, the philosophy of sales. So if we have strategy right down the middle, On this side, we have the system. Over here, we have the philosophy of sales. And I mean, truly, there's a lot of sales leaders, there's sales managers out there that they don't really understand the why behind what they're doing as well as they could. And I mean, oftentimes it's probably because they were a top rep, they were a top performer, that they got promoted up into here. And then they got so busy with the X's and O's of what they're doing. And I mean, it's not their own fault that they don't understand it, although we do need to take personal responsibility. So maybe I shouldn't say that. But so what happens is they have a system, right? And anytime that you have a sales rep, let's just say, for example, that they are recapping their appointment with you. They are breaking it down, like how'd it go, yada, yada. I didn't sell it, what happened? And they start to talk about how that they were off model, that they were off system. And, okay, well, what happened here? Why didn't you stay on system? The answer always has something to do with the customer. Well, because the customer did this, because the customer said that, because it was different. And that's the absolute truth. Every time that we go through the home, it's going to be a different experience. And I call that resistance. If this is the perfect system, this is our perfect model, the customer is going to give us a little bit of a different experience. That would be the resistance. So when a sales rep, including myself, when they get that resistance, they're going to go one of two directions. They aren't going to stay static. They are either going to push forward more into the system, or they're going to pull back. And if they pull back, if they don't really understand that philosophy of selling, the why behind what they're doing, the type of experience that they really need to give the customer, then it turns into the Wild West, then it turns into their own thing. Whereas what we know is a lot of the top reps in the country, they really do understand the philosophy of selling. They've created their own system. They've got enough of that resistance so that as the customer does it, that they're not really off system. They're just doing their own system. Which that's not necessarily great either, but if they're giving the customer a great experience, maybe it's okay. What the untrained rep does, that doesn't understand the system well, they've gotten that resistance. So now I don't blame them, for pulling back, because nobody wants to just drag our customer through the mud. That sucks. Yeah. But they don't really have this well enough. So now their Wild West just turns into kind of whatever. And if they're following that philosophy of step selling, where, that the most important step is the one you're in, which in many ways, like, that's true. When we're doing a discovery, when we're understanding, we shouldn't be selling at that point. We should be understanding our customer, not selling. So they get resistance, they pull back off their system. I don't know. I guess I kind of got a bit all over the place there, but
no, you're that's my take. I just saw a quote in the chat. Ben, I've known Ben for all 13 years of his career, and he said, I was told I wasn't the mold. Well, here we are 13 years later, and I know Ben personally, top rep. Yeah, it's by the way, I also figured out kind of
let me see if I can pull up the chat here.
The challenge behind I talked about this at the summit a couple of weeks ago. So top rep gets promoted to sales manager, and you just hit the nail on the head. A lot of times the top rep never really, kind of has it by natural ability. Mm-hmm. So they've never really had to learn necessarily outside of just some basic stuff. And now you're putting them in a role where they need to come back down off of unconscious to conscious competent, and they can't. That's why they can't coach. That's where the struggle is, because they never had to learn it. They didn't struggle to become the top in most cases, which is fine. Naturally, they're just their ability to do the things that they need to do in the home.
Yeah.
And now you're saying, hey, teach this, or coach this. And they're like, well, I think that's one of the bigger challenges. It's not that a top rep can't do it. It's just the expectation is not correct.
Yeah.
Fun stuff to ponder.
Yeah. One thing with coaching too, when they probably haven't been trained much on coaching. And back when there was a time when I wasn't trained much on coaching either. And I have a long ways to go. But one of my first lessons on coaching that absolutely blew my mind was, as I was going through the Maxwell leadership coaching, the Maxwell leadership, the training sessions, the coaching modules.
Yeah.
As I was going through those, it was probably module 2 or 3, but Valerie was talking about, she wanted to explain the difference between coaching versus consulting versus training. And to keep it kind of simple, when you're consulting, you have deliverables. When you're coaching, you don't have deliverables. And when you're training, you are training. And what I heard was that, the most important step is the one you're in. And when you're coaching, you're supposed to be coaching. You aren't supposed to be training when that you're coaching. And when I reflect back, when that I was doing some of that, it's like, oh my gosh, I thought I was coaching. I was trying to coach, but then at the same time, I'm also training with them a little bit. And then I'm kind of like pulling in some consulting with my own deliverables in there. And it's like my system was just off. So, it's not that much different from a sales rep. I mean, which I believe that you're really getting into this too, that the similarities, between what they're doing versus what our frontline managers are doing, there's just so much gap there where that I think we can do better for them.
Yeah, it's just reps have the customer and the sales manager's customer is the rep. A lot of people think it's completely night and day. The big difference is you have to win through people as a sales manager. That was the hardest hurdle I had to learn how to climb, because you're used to being a producer, going out and doing it yourself. And now you have to lead a team and win through them. That's a big difference. But outside of that, reps are, if I'm a sales manager, my reps are my customers. I'm there to serve them.
So what do you mean by that? I mean, I understand what you mean by that you have to win through them, but I mean, where's the challenge? Are you finding that the sales leaders aren't finding the satisfaction in that, or just help me understand that better?
I don't know. You know what? That's a good point. I don't think it's not satisfaction, but normally, like, when you're in control as a sales rep, like, you really have the ability. You're the first person in contact with the customer. You can't control the result, but you can influence it directly. Where then as a sales manager, you have to work through your reps, hope that they're taking that message of influence and putting it on. And then if you go higher up, it gets even more challenging, as I'm learning. So but it's just flip, as nothing new. Flip the org chart over, flip the pyramid over, right? Put the reps at the top. Frontline manager, that's their customer. Then, to the director, to the VP, the managers are their customers, and it's all service. It's all, how do I help them to maximize their ability and do their job, and then do their job even better. And then as a rep, it's how do I help this customer solve this problem and get the result they're looking for?
Yeah.
So it's, but it is more, as you get further away from the customer, I think it becomes, more challenging, because you sit back and you go, oh my God, why is that rep doing that? And then you're like, wait up, you got to work through the channels to get them coached and improved.
Yeah. Which, as you're coaching a rep, or if you're doing a ride along, if you're doing, I don't know why that this popped in, but I think it's super relevant, that intent matters.
Yeah.
The intention behind what you're doing matters. As BG had us, had me really digging into our Project Oxygen, our Turner Land Lake University, our management development, one of the essential behaviors was, to avoid micromanagement, and I mean, that wasn't the entire piece of it, but it was, what is how do you understand the difference between an empowering behavior versus a micromanaging behavior? And a lot of times it's what is the intent behind it. That if you're doing a ride along, are you doing a ride along with the intention of like fixing everything, and or is it with the intent of coaching and giving them feedback on that experience? And so much is true with our customers too, that like let me pluck out one element of sales methodology that is just really has me going right now. And I'm going to define it. Here we go, Jim.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
No, it's I am seeing so much of what I have now labeled it as tactical questioning. It is asking these questions with the intent that later we're going to use it against our customers.
Yeah.
I was on the phone with a company. It was a painting company out on the West Coast, and they were asking about, some help with stuff or whatever, and asked, if I could do some training for them. I'm like, I don't know, possibly. And they didn't necessarily want me to rewrite their system, which was completely fine. And but yet it wasn't like come in and do a quick rah-rah or spin leadership selling or anything like that. It was to train their reps, or to like bring some new reps, but train them on their current system. And I was, we got into the philosophy of selling just a little bit, and his team, they had gone to a like closers camp type seminar type thing, and they had their like methodology built out for him. And I was talking about the difference between tactical questioning versus the process of understanding. And for me, it's a huge difference. I view what could be a discovery process as a process of understanding. There's 3 things that must happen. You know, one, yes, we absolutely have to understand our customer. We need to know what's important to them so that we don't have to run them through this lineal 6-hour presentation, so we can focus on what's important to them. But
So true.
Yeah, absolutely true, right? I mean, it's not great for anybody. But the second piece of the understanding is we need our customer to understand with clarity what's important to them. The better we can help them organize their thoughts, and think of it like home shopping, right? If I had never lived in a home that I purchased, you know, if this is my first or second home, when it comes time to go home shopping, it would make sense, you know, that I'm going to go view a bunch of homes and I'll know what I like when I see it, right? I'm going to get a whole bunch of estimates. Well, I tell you what, when it comes time for Kyle to move to Florida, I could probably buy it online because I have absolute clarity. Like, I know what my non-negotiables are.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that if it doesn't have at least a 3-car garage or the property where I can build one, and probably like the cigar lounge is not a non-negotiable, but a 3-car, like that is a non-negotiable, right? So I know what my desires are. I know what my priorities are, and I absolutely know what my non-negotiables are. And because of that, it's really easy for me to make that decision. So to me, for a sales rep, it is the process of understanding. So back to this tactical questioning. So he's going through this, he goes, and he's reading off these questions. So we ask him this so that later at the end that we can say this. And it gets to one like, so how long you been thinking about the project? That we ask them that. So later, when they say that we need to think about it, that we can say, well, now I'm confused because you've already, and you know where I'm going with that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that entire approach is terrible, but what is the intent behind it? If the intent during it is to, like, I'm going to ask that question so later I can get them. When it comes time to get them, they're going to feel like they're gotten, right?
Yeah. That's your dude, man. Oh gosh, it's like when you're a rep is struggling, and it's like, hey, when you go to knock on the door, where's your head? Like, where? And that's, people laugh at me like, think it's crazy. I'm like, no, like, where are you in? Are you in the mindset of service and servitude? Like, when you set the agenda, who's that for? You or for the customer?
Yeah.
You're right. Everything's got to be with the intent around them, because people feel intent.
For sure.
People feel
100%. I mean, just like I posted, everything we do in life, Joe, we're making somebody feel something.
Yeah.
Be intentional about the energy that you bring. If I could go back and give that younger Kyle a few nuggets, one of them that I would say is, every time before you go through that door, reset yourself to, why am I here? You know, and I think it was Brian Smith, you know, that he first brought out the point of, you know, that the job description is to give demos. And as that I thought about that more, you know, okay, so what is a demo? Well, from the moment that somebody calls us, they have been trying to get 2 questions answered. What do you got and how much does it cost, right? Yeah. You go on the website, there's a few pictures, but we don't go deep into it. And you sure as heck aren't going to find what did it cost. Yeah. So they didn't call us out there to buy from us. I mean, some did, but most didn't. They didn't call us out there to be their friend or whatever. I mean, some, but they called us out there to get those 2 questions answered. So therein lies your demo. Like, that's why you're there. And if you can reset yourself to that mindset of, you know what, I'm going to see Dan and Mary. I don't know what I'm going to run into when I go through that door, but gosh dang it, I'm going to have fun with them. I'm going to find out what's important to them. I am going to lead them through the process of making a smart buying decision for their, like, that's the type of mindset that we want coming through that door, because they're going to feel it. Yeah. And then if you're on this, like, you know, I guess some of the older scripting, you know, that Bob, hey, Bob, it's Kyle with XYZ, you know, thank you, which we could weave in an element of gratitude plus there too, like really thank them. But, you know, did the office tell you what to expect? You know, why are we even asking that question? I mean, right from the, Joe, what are you hoping to accomplish today, brother? Let's make this all about you, right? And from the very beginning, let's find out what their expectations are. Now we can set our expectations. You know, it's these little tiny things that I know we can do to help our customer feel our intentions.
Yeah. I was on a appointment about a year ago, and the customer, it's obvious nowadays. You can tell when they've had someone else out, and the guy goes, do you want to sit down at the table? And I look at him. I knew what he was doing. I mean, I knew what he was saying, but I'm like, I thought I'm here for your bathroom. He's like, yeah, but do you want to sit? What do I need to sit down at your table for yet? I don't even know if I can help you. Let's go take a look at the bathroom. And the guy looks at his wife and goes, I like this guy already. And it's just because it just doesn't make any sense. And
He felt what you were. He felt why you were there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's asking me if I want to. You could just tell as soon as I'm like, oh gosh, how many companies have you had out? He's like, let me guess, you need to sit at the table. And his face just told me, oh my God, I thought I was here for a bathroom. I don't know anything about tables. And he laughed and, got him already. And he goes, he looks at his wife because I like this guy already. Yeah. And it's like, I don't need to get you to your table. But anyway, I don't want to throw curveballs at everybody on the call freaking out.
Well, but the intent does matter, though, Joe. Like I mentioned earlier, that this is my first time doing a Facebook Live or a live thing. This is my first time doing some type of podcast, and which I should definitely do more. This is so much fun. I've been wanting to do them for a while. People have been saying, Kyle, you should start one, whatever. But and I don't necessarily disagree with that. But this is my first time, so in theory, I guess that I should be nervous. But I'm not, and for a couple of reasons. One little trick, was that I said that, and even that can calm the nerves, but I wasn't nervous. And here's the reason why. If I would have came on here today with the intention to solicit business, now it's all about me. Now I'm going to be pretty dang nervous, but how am I going to look? How am I going to present? Like, what am I going to say? But I did not come on here with that intention today. Yeah. I came on here with how do we give people something, Joe? I mean, what can we do for this industry? We got an hour,
whatever.
I guess, let's freaking make it about them. So again, and had I come on here with the intention of trying to solicit business or whatever, I don't think this would have gone very well. I don't think it would be and I don't even know if it's going very well anyway, but I'm having fun.
Yeah. It's, speaking of BG, you look at when he responds or he comments in the group, everybody, it's because he has no intention other than to serve. It's the minute that you're sitting there trying to push product and come to my seminar and come to this, and then, obviously we had to remove a guy from the group this past week and he was going about it all wrong. And it's just like, holy crap, man, just bring value. And if somebody connects with you, great.
Yeah.
It's, I sat in that conference a week ago and nothing against the conference. Good for the guy and gal who hold it on and good for them. They're printing money from it, I'm sure, but it's like team. People, God, if I hear this one more time, success leaves clues. I don't need any more clues. You don't need any more clues. Just go do the work. Just go put in the work.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people in this industry that are making millions that are not bright, but it's because they don't overthink it. They don't make what we call simplicity out of it. Just go do the work.
I heard that with you and Mr. Hoy, who him and I finally got a chance to connect. He is fantastic. Yeah. Great interviews too. Joe, you're freaking killing it with this.
Well, I'm just saying though, the success leaves clues. God dog it, man. It's not rocket surgery. Just a sales rep. Find a model. The key is, just do it every day.
Yeah.
Don't guess. Do the same thing. Consistency, I think, is the biggest, and discipline are the biggest challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. And please don't, I hope I didn't portray, that there's a whole bunch of bad sales models and a bunch of bad methodology out there, because I don't necessarily believe that. Yes, there might be some things in there that should probably get changed out, but right, even as a sales professional, we don't have to make this super, super hard. The system's right there. Learn the system, embrace the system, figure out why what is the why behind it, so that when you do have to shift over, that you are good to go. But if your intention is to go there and serve the customer and problem solve with them and fight for their business because it's in their best interest, keep it simple, keep your intention right, keep your energy up, or not necessarily keep your energy up, but keep your energy correct. And, those are simple things we can do, but they're not easy.
I've always reminded in this case, I used to fight it personally, where it was like, oh no, you got to do that. I think it's not an either or, it's an as well, right? Take some of this if it works for you, whatever. But then once you have whatever it is you're doing, at least be consistent for 30 days, prove it wrong, but you can't just, miss one shot with it and say, well, that was, Joe's a lunatic with that idea. That's why I joke and I can say the dick in the ear clothes. It doesn't make a difference. Just do it. Which I'm going to get a lot of shit for that, but that's okay. Whatever, right? It's a joke because it's that funny that it doesn't make a difference what it is. In most cases, just do it consistently.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part about this job. It becomes monotonous. 3 appointments a day, 5-6 days a week. You have to find new routines to make sure your energy is right when you hit the door, because it is going to be very much the same thing. Yeah. And I heard a story. I'll never forget this. Somebody said to, I don't even know, what is it? Leonard Skinner, Sweet Home Alabama. They go, how do you play the song with so much energy and passion every time? And he goes, because we have yet to get it perfect. Right. And that's his reminder. He goes, we always are off just to take care. You guys sing it how many times? 100,000 times in his career? Probably. Yeah. I don't even know if the guy's alive. And I thought about that. And I think that's the reminders. You're competing you versus you in the home in terms of getting it right. And that's your energy and that's your excitement. And then the fact that we all know this is the first time they've seen you. They've never seen the show before.
Yeah.
That's always a critical reminder.
Yeah.
I get all fired up. Somebody said a comment here. The world is run by those who show up and work rather than pontificate on how it should be run. Huh. All right. Pontificate. Are we pontificating?
I'm not sure.
All right.
I didn't finish my college career.
Yeah, right. Hey, the other thing that you said, you taught me this, and I think it's critical, and it ties back into what Schultze was saying, right? In the close. You talk about who you've told me a long time ago, my new favorite word, conviction, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think in the
most conviction.
Where's your conviction in the close? Is it conviction to close the deal because of your commission, or is the conviction there because you know this is the right solution for the customer's problems?
Yeah.
And now it's my duty to protect them from choosing a substandard solution for a few dollars less.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I guess this might be a piggyback on that, but I go back to my interviewing days where I would do a ton of interviewing, and oftentimes I would be interviewing someone from, say, like the roofing industry, and they'd come in and say, that it's, that we can't do the one sit, that it is like based on estimates and it's very competitive, like this and that. And in many ways, it's like, well, they just don't necessarily understand the business, or they don't, but it's not that they don't understand the business. They don't necessarily understand what it's going to take for that customer to make a decision. And it's so much more simple than I think that most people make it. It comes down to just 3 keys to any successful home improvement project. It doesn't matter whether it's windows, bathrooms, building a garage, full blown remodel. It's 3 things. One is the project itself. And which can be the product or the product and the design. It depends on what, that your specialty is. But once we get the project right, if this is the project that they want and they don't have a desire to choose other alternatives, like this is the one they want. The second one is the company that they want to do business with. Once we get that one right, if this is truly the company that they not just trust to do business, but they want to do business with us, then it lowers their desire for, to want to shop. But if we get the project right and it's the right company and we can make it affordable for them, if all of those 3 things completely line up, they feel like we're fighting for them, they, that we're going to help them wrestle through that problem solving, we can earn their business whenever those factors are met, whether that's your first visit, your second visit, your 70th, it doesn't matter. It's once we get those 3 done, there's really no reason to continue to shop. And so simplify it.
You're spot on there though, right? It's like, man, and this was probably said back in the day from somebody, but it's like whether you come out to see, the company comes to see you 10 times or the result's the same, right? Like people say, oh, I got burned before when I made the first decision. It wasn't because you made the decision that night. It was because of who you chose. It was the company you chose. That's why it was. It had nothing to do whether you made it the night they first visited with you or 10 nights later. They were still the company's still going to perform and treat you the same way.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a fun little back and forth. I do have one question for you. That's been my my new fun question to ponder. You're a sales manager.
Okay.
You have 2 leads to assign left. Let's just say.
Okay.
You have a top rep and a bottom rep. When you look at lead performance metrics on the 2 different sources, one's better than the other. Well, let's just say one's inbound. People called you versus outbound. Don't close it as well. Do you give the top rep the higher closing inbound lead based on performance, or do you give the top rep the more challenging lead, we'll say, based on market-wide performance?
What's the end goal? To my best chance of closing both of those leads to generate business for the company, so that it would that be the end goal? Or
yeah, I mean, as a sales manager, yeah, if you want to be somewhat just truly from a drive revenue standpoint.
Okay, yeah, from if I was in the business of lead picking, and I mean, I do know that some businesses do, that they like to feed their horses or whatever, which I kind of disagree with that. To me, it is important as a sales manager, to understand the pulse of your team. I mean, that's a big part of being that frontline manager is, where are they at? Where are they at mentally? Like, what's their state? What type of appointment? So there are all those X factors in there. But I suppose, that although it might not be fair to the top rep, I'm going to give them the more challenging appointment. Like, buddy, this one, but you go get them, man. Like, I believe in you. Like, go make it all about them. They are so lucky to have you, whether if they are even have an interest in X product, oh my gosh, today's their lucky day because they get you. And I'm going to give them that one. And I would probably give the quote unquote possible lay down to my less challenging rep. And I don't know that that's the right answer, but I guess that's my answer.
I don't think there is a right or wrong answer. It actually came up at dinner conversation with and he's in the group, Chris Behan. And I thought it was great. And
he has great hair, by the way. And I hope that he watches this.
he's a sharp dude. But we both kind of agreed also, how many times do you think a top rep makes the tougher lead look like a great lead anyway? Like, I think it comes down to rep mentality. Yeah. And the bottom rep, it's not because of lead quality all the time that is causing their performance issues.
Yeah.
So they get the lay down and then go poo it.
Joe, let me ask you a question here. What is one thing that now that you wish you would have known or wish you would have been better at back when you were in the home? Back when you were really there.
Oh, this is 100%. It's the easy one for me.
Now, let's go.
I mean, guys think I'm crazy about it now because I pound it and pound it and pound it, but it's the truth. It's process over outcome. I detach from the outcome. If I could go back in the home and detach, right, from the minute I knock on the door and I just focus winning each step, regardless of the thing, regardless of the, the outcome, I just focus on, as I keep saying a lot, which I stole from the book Legacy which is about rugby, but they say leave the jersey in a better place. I say leave the lead in a better place, right? Who am I to judge? Right. My job is to truly go in there and help them and facilitate a decision. And that decision could be no, but I'll take it. Knowing that as I mentioned in your post yesterday, right, I may be the brightest opportunity or brightest, part of those people's day. But when I was in the home full time and I'm attached to, I got to close. Again, back to intent. People feel it. And when I could detach and I truly believe that a lot of guys that I work with now probably think that I'm, that's coming from like a corporate side of me. Mm-hmm. That's my belief, because having any other belief on the outcome of that lead doesn't benefit me. I just need to do what my job is, which is the steps. Yeah. And I think it's a complete game changer for the rep that can do that.
Yeah. I love that.
Not that we won't prejudge going to the door, but then once I start my routine of my pre-appointment routine, that thought's out of my head. And now I'm focused on what my mission is, which is to go step by step, facilitate a decision. And it's crazy. But that way, that's the other reason why I'm so passionate about it, is because that's how you also break through any barriers around like income or results based, because you don't even pay attention to results. You're just constantly winning each step. And you look up at the end of the month and you go, holy crap, I just sold more than I've ever sold. But, guys that are looking at the results, they naturally or subconsciously, if they've never sold more than, say, 300K in a month and they're hitting 300K by day 15, we've seen it. Yeah. They taper off. And it's like, man, don't focus on the result. Just execute. Because as BG says, whatever it is that you're going to practice, that's what you're going to do. So if I shortcut my system because I go to 3 one-leggers in a row, what happens when I get on that fourth lead where it's John and Mary with the checkbook in hand, ready to go? I lay an egg because I've just practiced,
Yeah.
And
it's true. And BG changed that simple. I mean, BG changed a lot for me, but that simple philosophy, is one of them that one of many, but that has really, really resonated well. That which we practice, we become excellent at, and if you practice sleeping in, you become excellent. It's not just true in sales, that every time that you're making that decision, you're making a conscious decision to practice that behavior, and it just becomes easier and easier to do it again. And oh my gosh, is that just true in life?
Because the other thing is, what did we call the steps in? What did you call the steps in leadership selling? Habits, right? Well, you can never make any of your sits a habit if you don't do the same thing every time.
Yeah.
And there's somebody posted in the group, and it's an old saying, and I like it, right? 2 will always buy, 2 will never buy. It's the 6 in between that are going to determine whether you're good or great. Awesome. I agree. Even though the math makes 0 sense, but whatever. But how do you tell which one's which? You don't until the end. So pitch, run the lead. Run the appointment. And again, in an industry where you have to run the appointment, it has no benefit to have any other mindset. Oh, well, this is a crap lead. And that's the hardest part of the game is saying, hey, that Friday night lead, that's a one leg unconfirmed in a bad part of town on a lead source you're not good with. It's having the discipline, to do your job regardless, when you can easily burn it, shortcut, and head out the door and be off with your boys. I sleep better at night knowing I did my job for those people, whether they could or couldn't afford me. There's no reason for them to go off and tell their friends that I didn't give them a great experience, even though they couldn't afford our product or buy our product. I sleep better at night knowing that if I'm a salesperson.
Yeah, for sure. Make it all about them, just go in, make it about them, just go do it.
That's it.
Give them that experience that they deserve every single time you knock on the door. And I really do love your take on removing the outcome from the process, right?
Process over outcome. It's detach from it.
Detach the result from the process. Was that?
You can't. If I'm a tennis player and I want to win Wimbledon, I got to win the first set of the first match of the first. You know what I mean? That's where my focus needs to be. If I'm a rep in the home, and this is where reps I think struggle these days, and this is what Chris and I were talking about, is we're so focused on the result or the outcome that we rush the 8 steps to get to that, and then it turns into this knockdown drag out where reps have to quote unquote become this insanely good closer, right? And hold on, man, why don't you just crush the first 8 steps? And I'm not saying you're not going to have to still overcome FUD or a reflex stall, but things become a lot better because you've earned the right to be in the close at that point versus the shortcut shenanigans you did on the first 8 steps or however many you run. And that's where because everybody's focused on the result.
Yeah.
And it just focus on winning this step. Be where your feet are. Make this the best entry you've ever done or the best agenda, whatever it is your steps are, the best discovery.
Yeah.
Make that your goal.
Yeah.
That way you can win regardless of the scoreboard too.
And that's how everybody wins.
But everybody gets so attached to the result. If you think about it, Kyle, you have absolutely no true control over the result. You can influence it by what you do, but at the end of the day, that customer makes the decision, yes, no, maybe, whatever. And so why would I stress out focusing on it? Why don't I just do everything necessary to give myself the best probability of a successful result?
Yeah.
It's hard. That's a mindset. That's a mental. That's where I'm so big on mental toughness, man. It's
because it's a grind. It's
It is, and it can be frustrating. But again, maybe it's the old adage, two wrongs don't make a right. If the customer's a pain in the ass and rude, and you're still trying to just be you and be happy and fun, so be it. Yeah. But I don't, I would sleep better at night saying, hey, you know what? I gave those people a great experience versus judging them and shortcutting them and saying, oh, they couldn't afford it, or, whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Love that, Joe.
That's my take. What about you? What's something that you would say is the big change that you would say shift in your mindset since running leads? And
I think the energy before it would be that, well, again, I guess kind of like that post yesterday, that for years I taught physical preparation, be dressed, be sharp, your iPad's clean, I mean, all that stuff, right? And it was that mental preparation too, to get into the right mindset. But it's not easy to get into the right mindset, without really getting into the right state. So, man, two things, I guess. And this is, I don't even know that this is completely accurate, but I would say that energy is a choice and love is a skill. Yeah. And I say this, love is, yes, there's more to love than just a skill, but I'm talking about the skill of love. And a skill is a learned behavior, that it is something that we can become better at. And again, I am going to go back to Gottlieb with, I just spent so much time with the guy and I was very fortunate to be able to do so. But another one of his concepts that changed my life and definitely changed the life of other people is the concept of gratitude plus. And I've used different analogies for this, but I'm going to go back to his analogy. And it was, that you go and you go and you get your lunch at Subway and you got your sandwich artist right there and they are making your sub, and that can be a very transactional, and I'm sure that it is for them. But at the end of it, as if they're giving it to you, as opposed to just paying for the sub and going, it would be being intentional, thank you so much for making this today. And as now they're probably kind of now they might be caught off guard just a little bit, but no, truly, this is my lunch today. Thank you so much for making my lunch today. I appreciate you. Yeah. And, and I do think that Subway analogy is fantastic, but it is finding ways to give significance to insignificant things in life. And that has become a skill, that was, and at first, you have to step outside. I don't even think of it as a comfort zone, but you step outside of your familiar zone, to if you're not used to complimenting people, that can be a little bit unfamiliar or uncomfortable. But then you begin to compliment people and you begin to notice all these things and you watch them light up from time to time. And the more you can weave that gratitude plus into your life, it becomes love as a skill. Yeah. It is the skill of finding ways to love people, love them where they're at, express that gratitude. Don't hold it back. They might need it. You don't necessarily know the difference that you're making in their life today. So I would, I guess I'm going to go with that one. Sure, there's all these different things, that I wish that I could go back and do better. There's a lot of people in the state of Wisconsin. I mean, there is probably not that many people, but for sure there are some people that should have a glass roof conservatory on the back of their home right now, and they don't because of me. Because I was I'm dead serious on this, Joe. And it kind of keeps me up at night just a little bit because I was about that experience with them and I was at their kitchen table and they're telling me how, oh my gosh, that when the family comes over, that now that the kids are all grown, they bring the grandkids, we don't have space for them. And they do not have a sunroom because I wasn't as skilled at certain things. But I just wish that I had those gimmies, and I don't. But fortunately, I've been blessed with the opportunity where I can help other people know what I wish I would have known. Energy is a choice. You can choose your energy. Love is a skill. You can love on people. You can show gratitude. And I think if you do that the other stuff will kind of fall in place for you, brother.
Amen, dude. I think that's a mic drop.
Sure.
I mean, I think that's it. We're going to do it again. I can already tell by all the comments. Who doesn't love Kyle Sellers?
I would love to do it again too, yeah. But there's also a lot of great people that we need to get on here. And I mean, I could call some people out. I would love to get Najib on here. That like, let's get a sales rep on here. And back to some of the people, man, like Dustin Rhodes, I need to get into that, to like that book on sales management, the like interviewing Joe, I am super proud of you, man. You are doing a great job with this. You are giving people, you are making a difference, Joe.
Appreciate you saying that.
But I would love to come back on, and maybe get into some training stuff or little nuggets here and there, or just do this again. But I would really love to just express my gratitude for giving me the floor.
Yeah, man. Anytime. No, we definitely are. I appreciate it, man. And hopefully everybody gets a chance to watch it and comment. And Kyle, I know for a fact if you reach out to Kyle through the chat and through Facebook Messenger, I'm almost certain.
Can I tell one quick story since you said reach out?
Fire away.
If I've ever gone to your business and spoke to your business, there's a very good chance that you have heard this story, but it is the story of my phone number. And I'll give everybody my phone number right now. So like I said, I'm 41 years old, grew up in northwest corner of Iowa. Somehow I got lumped in as a millennial. I don't necessarily relate to that because I did not grow up with the internet. I mean, it was Netscape Navigator. If you wanted to go to Google, you typed in www.google, HTTP, whatever, yada, yada, right? But somehow I guess that I'm a millennial. So like I said, I moved to Wisconsin and I got my first big boy cell phone, like a non-prepaid Nokia with the snake on it. But it was through US Cellular, probably because I had a sale going, whatever. And back then was when you had roaming minutes, and they didn't share towers, so like certain carriers had better coverage than others, right?
Yep.
And I was in Wisconsin. I didn't travel, like I was just building homes. So I needed to get off of US Cellular and onto the local. It was Cellcom, clearly the best, right? And because I don't need the roaming minutes like this and that, so I go into Baycom Cellcom to get my new cell phone, and back then you didn't port your number over. If you went to go get a new cell phone, you had to get a whole new phone number. You had to somehow contact your list. Like texting wasn't really a thing yet, but kinda. But you also didn't have 6,000 contacts in your list. You had like 30. So it wasn't quite as bad. But so I pick out my new phone. I get all the way up to the front counter, and this cute little girl, and like I say little, but she's probably my age, right? We were probably both like young 20s, but she gets all excited. She's like, "Oh my gosh, you have a 4-letter name. Do you want your phone number to be your name?" And I'm like, kind of cheesy, but kind of awesome. Yeah, let's do it. She's rifling through stuff. She's like, I have 639 Kyle, and I'm like, yeah, let's go. Now, I'm getting excited. And even to this day, when I think about that, when I think about how excited that she got. So for Facebook Live, for the In-Home Sales Professional, my phone number is 920-639-KYLE, 5953. But the reason that I share the story the way that I do is because energy is transferable. Yeah. And she was so enthusiastic for me to get that number that it made me enthusiastic too.
To have it.
And we can do that same thing for our customers. We can be excited for them. We can be enthusiastic for them. And if you do that, you are going to have more success. So that's my phone number. That's my quick little training story that goes with it. I like telling it. I hope you guys love it.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Hey, man, I appreciate it. Try to stay warm up there.
Yeah.
We'll get together again soon, man. Thank you.